So good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. Welcome to our event. My name is Nancy Ntere. I'm the network manager of the Able Child Africa Network, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the launch of Able Child's new 2030 strategy and the launch of the Able Child Africa Network. Before we start the event, I just want to run through the accessibility options in place today. We have a sign language interpreter using British Sign Language. You can see in the corner of the video. Live captioning is available and you will need to enable it in your Zoom. If you're not sure how to do this, the instructions are in the chat. People will introduce themselves and will use descriptions if they can, but this will not be possible for some of our pre-recorded sessions, which were done earlier on. I myself am a Black African woman wearing a pink top with short hair, and of course, wearing glasses. If you have any other accessibility needs during the session, please do let us know via the question and answer button, and we will do our best to resolve them. Rather than having a live question and answer session, we'll be taking on written questions throughout the event, which will be answered in the question and answer feature below. The launch will be recorded and will be available after the event. If you want to share it with anyone, please feel free to do that. Today's event will last approximately 45 minutes, and you will hear from a range of people, including members of the network, the chair of the new Executive Council, the chair of the UK board. But to kick us off, we'll be hearing from the Able Child's core CEO, Lauren Waters, and Carl Hackinson.
Hello everyone, my name's Carl Hankinson, co-CEO of Able Child. I'm a white man with a shaved head and a thinnish beard, wearing a grey jacket and shirt.
Hello everyone, my name's Lauren Waters, co-CEO of Able Child. I'm a white female with brown hair and wearing glasses and a white and black spotted shirt.
Our organisation was founded on the principles of African-led development. For the last 40 years, we have been proud to work side by side with a group of leading African organisations who are experts in upholding the rights of children with disabilities in Africa. But we believe we can and should be doing more to put decision-making in the hands of these organisations. Today, we are launching our 2030 strategy, which changes the way that we work. Our strategy sets out plans to support the creation of a new network of organisations working with and for children with disabilities in Africa, where the members take the lead.
This has been a long process that began back in 2021, a process that started with holding ourselves to account on the values of anti-colonial development and meaningful participation. We wanted to build on our commitment to locally led development and re-examine what our role should be. And we knew that doing this honestly would mean a radical rethink of what we do and how we work with organisations in Africa. It was important to us that any new strategy was based on listening to and understanding what the priorities were for organisations that we seek to support. And this meant allowing those organisations to define what they need from us, as well as defining what is meant by shifting power structures. To achieve this, we undertook an extensive consultation and review process, speaking to over 40 organisations, including African civil society, donors, and INGO partners. We established a strategy working group with our existing partners, who over 18 months developed a way forward that would better enable us to support them. And we ran child-friendly workshops to consult with children and young people with disabilities in Kenya, Rwanda, and Malawi to understand their main concerns.
From this process, we took 4 key things. First, there is an obvious need to reach more children and young people with disabilities in Africa, particularly those left furthest behind. But this doesn't simply mean delivering more programs. Second, supporting civil society in Africa is always the most effective way of improving the lives of children and young people with disabilities in Africa. But the organisations we work with need support beyond traditional restricted funding models. Third, there are benefits of a long-term relationship between African civil society and an international INGO, but the foundation of this relationship must be reassessed with a view to rebalance power. And lastly, there was a gap in the sector for an alliance of African-led organisations working in disability and child rights. Based on these learnings, we developed our new model.
Today, we are supporting the launch of a new network of the leading African organisations working exclusively with and for children with disabilities across the continent. This network will bring together the combined expertise of its membership to shape the landscape of what works for children with disabilities in policy and programming. It will create a platform for joint action and amplify the voices of these organisations to effect change on the international stage. But most importantly, it will run itself, with all key decisions taken by an executive council elected by the network members. Able Child will act as a vehicle for this network, offering unrestricted funding for its members, technical support in programme delivery and operations, and a joint platform to advocate for change. But the members will decide exactly what support we offer and how they receive it.
Thematic areas will be chosen by the network members themselves and targeted to address areas that have been overlooked for children with disabilities, such as inclusive child protection and inclusive WASH services for girls with disabilities. We will actively encourage donors to have direct relationships with the members and challenge extractive donor requirements which hinder their ability to deliver impactful work. We will work to ensure our members have a voice in conversations about them. We will not speak on behalf of the network where the members can speak for themselves. And we will create more space for the voices of children and young people with disabilities. Once up and running, we're committed to the network having greater power to make decisions over our organisation so they can decide how we allocate resources to support their work. We will listen to them on how they want to do this instead of deciding for them. Over the next 6 years, we will employ more staff in the places where members work, channeling African skills and talent into the core of our programme design and delivery work.
This is a journey, and one that will begin with the formation of a new network model within our current organisational structure. We expect bumps in the road, and we know that a lot can change in 6 years. There is intentional flexibility in our strategy with no defined endpoint and a willingness to change direction, so we can take the lead from the network in a way that is truly meaningful. We want to lead a progressive change that champions African civil society as the experts in what works for children and young people with disabilities on the continent. And we believe that our impact will be greater if we are led by the organisations that we serve. We are Able Child, and today we are launching the Able Child Africa Network.
Able Child Africa are doing things differently. We are changing the way we work so we can be led by African civil society. Organizations founded in Africa know what works best for children with disabilities. They are best placed to determine how we deliver change. They should be the decision makers. So we are transitioning into a network of organizations working with and for children and youth with disabilities in Africa, where the members take the lead. Able Child Africa will act as a platform for the network, but the members will decide what support we offer and how they receive it. Members will collaborate and learn from one another, generate data on what works for children with disabilities, and come together to advocate for their inclusion. The network is taking time to establish itself, to test different ways of working and develop leadership structures. Together with the board, the network will decide how and when to shift power and decision-making. By 2030, it is our intention that we will be led by the network. We believe this approach is the right one. We believe it is where we can add most value, and it is how we will have the greatest impact on children with disabilities. We are Able Child, and this is the Able Child Africa Network.
Thanks, Lauren and Carl, for your introductions. We are now going to hear from the new chair of the Executive Council for the Able Child Africa Network, Bahati Omar. Bahati is the Executive Director of Uwezo Youth Empowerment, based in Kigali, Rwanda. And Jim Sellers is the Chair of the UK Board at Able Child. Bahati and Jim will talk a little bit about why they support the formation of the network and what their vision is for the future.
My name is Bahati Omar. I'm the Executive Director of West Youth Empowerment and the Chair of Able Child Africa Network. Able Child Africa Network is a network that was founded by African-founded organizations that are more focused on promoting the rights and well-being of children and youth with disabilities across Africa. We are a network that is building on the experience and resilience and looking at bringing children with disabilities and the youth at the forefront and ensuring that they are not left behind. Able Child Africa Network members are members that have got diverse experience, and we are looking at leveraging on experience and also tap into existing resources, especially those that are already available, and joining efforts to ensure that there is a sustainable promotion and the governance for children with disabilities across Africa. Jim.
Thanks, Bahati. So my name is Jim Sellers, and I'm the chair of Able Child. Now, people often ask us why change to the Able Child Africa Network? And the simple answer is that we believe it's in the best interests of the children and young people that we work with. And that's driven by three broad factors. The first of which is our partners told us they wanted to do things differently. We spoke to our partners, we engaged with our partners, and also we listened to our partners. They told us they wanted to take the lead and drive decisions about how we allocate and how we resource programs and projects within Africa and the continent. The second factor is that we believe that it is in the best interests of the children that we work with, the organizations based in Africa who ultimately know what works best for these children, drive the funding and programmatic work for these children. We believe the combination of an amazing collection of African registered NGOs can help shape the landscape for what works for children with disabilities in development programming, and ultimately put these organizations in the driver's seat. The third factor is that we as an organization want to grow. We ultimately want to help more children and young people. And we believe the best way to do this, both sustainably and for the long term, is through the launch of the wider Able Child Africa network.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I think our audience are wondering why are we establishing the network now. Like you're saying, the network is coming to unify the voices and efforts of collaborators, doers, and activists across the African globe, and these are organizations that have got lived experience that are very much needed today, where the world is very fast changing, and where everyone's voice has to be counted. So we are here to engage in bringing trusted data and statistics that are oftenly not brought forward, but also capacitating, empowering children and youth with disability to speak for themselves. So today we cannot say that we are going to represent children or repress them, but rather amplify their voices. And that's why, together with Able Child Africa Network is eager to engage broadly, look at policies, advocacy, and also mobilize resources that are needed to ensure that children and youth with disability and rights are promoted and respected.
Thanks, Bahati. And I think it's worth highlighting that we as the board of Able Child are 100% committed to the network. As I previously referenced, we believe this is absolutely the right thing to do for the children and young people that we work with. But we're also conscious that there are significant changes and work that needs to take place to ultimately achieve what we're trying to do. And that is to shift the power and the decision-making responsibility to the network across operations, across strategy, and across governance. We appreciate this is going to be a long-term project, but that project has already started. The network has already set up its own executive council. This is an autonomous body that's already begun working and planning its own programmatic activity. But also, we want to, over the long term, transfer the governance and strategic responsibility to the network. To that end, we set up a working group which combines both the network and the board of Able Child to collaboratively work together to build a governance structure and a transition period. We're absolutely committed to this long-term project and this long-term transition, but also conscious that this isn't something that's driven just by the UK board. It's done in conjunction with the network. We also recognise that it's important that it's more than just something written down on paper. It's really important that in practice, that power and that decision-making responsibility is transferred in full to the network over time. And we're committed to doing that by 2030.
Thank you, Jim. So being a network of its kind, so far that is established, so the network has a big vision. We envision being a more representative, more geographically active across all the African blocks, but also being a network that has got operational chapters, as Jim mentioned, not just a network that's just there, but addressing the pressing needs of African children and youth with disabilities today. So we envision also to be more engaged in either regional, even global advocacy engagements, and also mobilizing resources to run the work, to run the activity, and also to support the initiatives that are created by the members of the network, and also supporting the movement to grow and engage, and bearing in mind that whatever we're doing, we are promoting the rights and protecting children and youth with disabilities across the network. So I want to thank you very much and invite you all to joining the movement and to continue supporting the network's growth and expansion. Thank you.
It was great to hear from you, Bahati and Jim. Thank you so much. In a short while, we'll be having a live panel discussion. But first, we are going to hear some pre-recorded thoughts from the network members. Starting us off is Dolores.
My name is Dolores Were. I am the Executive Director of Uganda Society for Disabled Children. In short, we call ourselves USDC. We are a non-government organization that started in 1985, and our focus is on childhood disability.
I am Astrida Ponda, working for Zambia Association of Parents for Children with Disabilities, ZAPCD.
Hi, I'm Linus Mandua, the Executive Director of Parents of Disabled Children Association of Malawi, PODCAM.
I am Maria Omare. I am the founder and executive director of the Action Foundation, and we are proudly a member of the Able Child Africa Network. It was important to us to be part of the Able Child Africa Network because we are among organizations who have similar values and are working towards the goal of ensuring that children with disabilities, as well as young people with disabilities, are included in their communities.
We joined this network because we thought it was wise to collaborate and work in a group of organizations that are with similar objectives that ZAPCD has.
The network has really helped the organization because one, it has exposed us to some further countries, and we also have partners from different countries. We also learning from our partners in the network, and the partners are learning from us.
We felt that it's an opportune time to empower structures locally here. For USDC, because we work a lot with the parent support groups and the children in groups, we felt that if they actually took lead, they would sustain the work that we have initiated. So it was exciting to hear this from both Able Child Africa and other funding partners in the UK, that there is an opportunity to shift power such that we can lead as Southern organizations. And in turn, organizations like USDC would also endeavor to shift power to the parents in groups and also the child rights clubs.
The Action Foundation joined because we are with organizations that are doing similar programming. We can learn from each other, from our achievements, our struggles, our resources, and we can also ensure that we are contributing to the global discourse around inclusion of children and young people with disabilities.
As an organization, we know that we may not actually reach every child, and so we aim at leveraging on other existing resources, both locally and internationally.
Our knowledge is increasing as an organization because we are getting information from other countries and sharing experiences and exchanging notes on what works well when it comes to children with disabilities.
We are also adapting what we can do with parents and how we can train parents to look after children with disabilities. We are also experiencing new disabilities like the Down syndrome. We are working with them, but not much. But with this network, we are able to work with them, and we are mobilizing more of them to join our organization.
Here in Zambia, we are working in a project that is looking at inclusive early childhood education. And this is helping us as a country because this is when we are doing this for the first time, to work with the children with disabilities in early learning to be included in the government schools. So the network is really like helping us to get some information which we never thought that would get if we were maybe not members of this network.
We believe that we can leverage on other expertise, maybe technical expertise within ourselves, and we can also perhaps find resources together, financial. We can also, use each other's time to benefit our work.
There is power in unity. You cannot achieve a lot when you are working alone as an organization, but when you are collaborating with other organizations, you like get the strength. Even if maybe you want to quit somewhere along the way, you find strength in other organizations.
It's not only about capacity building for each other, but it's also this collaborative effort can enable us to learn continuously from one another.
The network has really helped us to advocate for children with disabilities, since it's like a big voice from different organizations advocating for the rights of children with disabilities. So it has really helped us as Malawi that we'll be able to advocate for children with disabilities in different countries.
We definitely have a lot of hope in the future of the network.
I can pick up a call, talk to Nancy, talk to Bahati, talk to Dolores, and they would give me the strength and give me solutions to my situation. So this is really helping us as a member of the network that we have joined in.
But we hope that the Able Child Africa can grow to be a leading force in global advocacy and also in supporting high quality research and service delivery towards children and young people with disabilities.
May this network go a long way. Even as we are launching it, may it indeed attract a lot of other well-wishers, a lot of other countries to come and join us in this network so that we serve the children with disabilities in our continent, Africa.
It can transform the lives of children with disabilities when we learn more and more from each other's practices, share researches, collaborate, learn not to be competitors, but build synergies that can sustain our work. Yeah, thank you.
Working within our four corners, meaningful engagement of people with disabilities, racial equality, gender sensitivity, and applying a child-centered approach, we support a network of leading organizations across Africa working to break down the barriers to inclusion for children with disabilities. The network comes together to share expertise and evidence on best practice, participate in joint funded and consortium projects, generate data to identify gaps and showcase examples of what works, and develop joint advocacy campaigns to uphold the rights of children with disabilities globally. The network delivers programs across 6 thematic areas: building inclusive child protection systems, demanding inclusive sexual and reproductive health and rights for girls and young women with disabilities, strengthening inclusive early childhood development, advancing inclusive education, promoting inclusive mental health and well-being, and raising the voices of children and young people with disabilities, and works with key stakeholders, including parents and families, the community, service providers in education and health, national governments, and international allies from across the sector to protect, educate, and amplify the voices of children and young people with disabilities. We stand up for the rights of children with disabilities so they are protected and included in their communities. We ensure that children with disabilities have access to an education and the services they need to succeed. And we support children and young people with disabilities to be confident and resilient, amplifying their voices to demand their own inclusion. Throughout our approach, children with disabilities are at the center of what we do, as we work towards a world where children with disabilities are safe, thriving, and heard.
So, I'm now here with a panel of some of the directors of the network. They're going to talk a little bit about the network, why they all chose to be part of the network, and what are their collective plans of making sure this network is the one and only one in Africa. I'm going to give an opportunity to each one of them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their organizations. We will start with you, Sharon.
Thank you so much. My name is Sharon Dungu. I work for Action Network for the Disabled, and we are in Kenya.
Noella?
Thank you, Nancy. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Noella Msuya. I'm working with Child Support Tanzania. We are based in Tanzania.
Thank you so much, Noella. And last but not least, Simon.
My name is Simon Munde. I'm the Executive Director of Federation of Disability Organizations in Malawi, FEDOMA, as the name rightly puts it, based in Malawi.
Thank you so much, Simon. So without further ado, I think we want to just discuss, just to get to know more about the network and just a bit of why, as your organizations, you decided to join the network. So I'll start with you, Sharon. Why do you or your organization want to be part of the network? Sharon?
Andy is pleased to be within the network because the network provides a platform where we can further our work, and because the network is about group of African organizations that have a shared vision of ensuring the interests of children with disabilities are catered for. And being in the network supports us in our work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, for that. Noella, can you take the same question?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nancy. Child Support Tanzania like to be in this network because, first of all, we are passionate about empowering children with disabilities. to reach their full potential. By joining this network, I can say like we can contribute to create more inclusive society where all children have equal opportunity to inclusive education, but also inclusive society, but also to make sure they are living meaningful life and achieve their potentials.
Thank you so much, Noella, for that. And Simon?
Thank you very much, Nase, for giving Fedoma an opportunity to express itself. Basically, we are part of the network because we are there to advance the rights of persons with disabilities. And one thing we've noted is that most of the issues that persons with disabilities are facing is because they might have been neglected during their childhood. And we feel that addressing the plight of persons with disabilities whilst they are still young is the best way to address these issues, such that we are part of the network to make sure that we address these issues, not just within Malawi, even at the continental level. We work together with different other players in the child spaces so that we really promote rights of children with disabilities. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simon. I like the fact that you talk about children with disabilities and what the network is there to basically support them. So coming to my second question, in your view, how does success look like for the network? What do you feel that once the network achieves, it will be successful? So I'll start with Noella on this. Maybe you can just give us your few points on that.
Thank you so much, Nancy. To me, success for this network, Able Child Africa Network, looks like a world where children with disabilities have equal access to education, healthcare, and opportunities for personal development. It means like creating a society that values and includes all individuals, despite of their different abilities. But also success is measured by children, by the positive impact we are going to create in this network on children's lives by enabling them to lead or fulfilling and independent lives, but also by promoting systematic changes that ensure their goals, their rights are upheld and respected.
Thank you. Simon, maybe you can add on that.
The success of this particular network is quite eminent, is quite inevitable. Looking at it that we are putting efforts together. We are a group of organizations that have come together, a network of organizations that have come together with different experiences, different successes, and we are bringing all these together such that as we are collaborating, as we are strengthening each other, as we are learning from each other, we're quite hopeful that come 5, 10 years to come, we will be talking of an Able Child Africa network that is quite vibrant, that is quite making very serious impact on the rights as well as lives of children with disabilities. So these kind of combined efforts are what we are relying on as a network members. Sure.
Thank you for that, Simon. And finally, Sharon, maybe you can add a few points on that as well.
Success to me for this network means a win for a child with disabilities, where the African continent can be able to speak in one voice when it comes to issues related to relating to children with disabilities. We can advocate issues of children with disabilities in one strong voice, whereby we don't have to, like, every country is just pulling the ropes on their end, but synergizing energy to create one strong voice, which translates to a win for a child with disability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Sharon. As you are talking, I got a few points, and the key points are around sharing our successes, sharing our experiences, strengthening one another. As a network, we are also looking at the way we can shift power. And the power shift comes in different ways. I don't know if each one of you can speak around it by also talking about the network plans. What are the plans that the network is hoping to achieve in relation, again, to the shift of power? Maybe we can start with you, Simon.
Yeah, sure. In terms of the plans, we're expecting that as the network is starting, we must always think of making a network that actually positions itself, winning donor confidence, so that it's able to mobilize resources on its own, not always relying on our route, which is Able Child mother body in the UK, but us running this particular network as an autonomous entity. So that is it. And in addition to that, we are also talking of really getting rooted in terms of being contextualized in an African context, so that we are advancing the issues that children with disabilities within Africa are facing, and advocating at that level using the different platforms. It may be at African Union level, it can be on some sub-regional levels, so that as unified voice, we are able to advance that particular voice, that particular plight of a child with a disability, so that we clear the barriers that may be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, for that. Sharon?
We're also looking at this platform as a way of building relationships when it comes to organizations for persons with disabilities. Also expanding our knowledges on matters disabilities by sharing our best practices on what happens in each and everyone's country, and what we can borrow in terms of ideas. Also creating an advocacy platform, as well as also mobilizing resources, as it has been mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And finally, Noella?
Thank you. Among the plans as network, we aim to advocate for policy changes that promotes disability inclusive, as well as to collaborate with the local NGOs and to create sustainable, impactful programs within our countries. But also, our goal is to empower children, many children with disabilities, to ensure that they reach their goals, but also to achieve their potentials, and create an inclusive society where they can thrive, succeed according to what they're able to do. But also, as among the plans as a network is to come up with a collaborative efforts to advocate for policy changes within the region, like in Africa. You know, we have been advocating in our countries, but if we have strong voice together and advocate for changes in policy worldwide or regional wide, it's more easier as a network to create inclusive society within our continent.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Noella, for that. Picking up from engaging with policymakers and also as organizations that create policies for children with disability, you rightfully said this is a network for organizations working with around areas of children with disability issues. How do you feel other people can engage with the network? How do you feel that other people can benefit from the network? Sharon, you can maybe address that.
I'll start by saying working in networks of partnership is one of the Sustainable Development Goal number 17, which talks of global partnership for sustainable development. So by working together, it enhances our work from different quarters, and it's important for other people to also participate in this. People can engage with us through joining the network. At least we already have 8 countries within the network, but I know it's open, but gradually. So also by sharing the ideas and also some of the issues they think can be advocated through this kind of channel.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for that. Noella?
Thank you. I think also people, they can get engaged by volunteering their time and skills to the network, as well as in fundraising. You know, as a network, we need funding to make sure we achieve our goals as a network. So there are so many ways people, they can volunteer to ensure they get engaged with our network by committing for their time, but also skills, as well as making sure they fundraise for us, or participating by donating to the network, so that we can achieve what we plan to achieve. But also by considering making donation and support to our initiative, or partnering with us. They can also be part of Able Child Africa's network. So I was thinking that way, but most of it, as I said, the network also needs funding, and to move on and to achieve more and more in our continent. So we ask people to partner with us, or to get engaged by funding the network, so that it can achieve its intention goals.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Noella. And finally, Simon.
Yes, Nase, how to engage with the network. One key thing that should not be forgotten is that as a network, we have a secretariat, which is headed by Nancy. She's the network manager, and getting in touch with her, we should be able to, you should be able to understand some of the areas that as stakeholders you'll be able to support the network with. And we also have an executive council whose chairperson is based in Rwanda. The secretariat, in actual sense, NASA, is based in Kenya, Nairobi, and you should be able to get whatever you are looking for. As one of the most important things is that with the different stakeholders that are out there, there may be international NGOs, there may be donor agencies. You can get in touch with the network and provide the necessary kind of support. At the same time, we have different countries that are represented in this network. It's possible that you would want to get in touch with some of the members that are within those countries, be it Tanzania, be it Rwanda, be it Kenya. You can as well get in touch with us and connect you to the secretariat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon, for that. Talking about connecting and for us also working closely in partnership, what is your take, considering that the network is basically being incubated now by Able Child Africa? What do you feel is the benefit of this relationship? Maybe Noela, you can take that.
Yeah, I think the benefit of us being in a network like this one, first of all, is a privilege because we come up with we came up as organizations which are looking forward to the same goal. So it helps a lot to us to share knowledge and experiences, but also coming up with the solutions of our challenges within our countries, because you can learn from Malawi, you can learn from Rwanda, from Kenya, the way they are facing the challenges they are facing, but also how do they resolve them. So as network, we see it's more of people's voice, I can say, not only one organization's voice, because it across countries issue. We are kind of learning organization together. So like every time we keep on learning, but also we help each other on how we can do interventions into our local areas. Being incubated by Able Child Africa, it gives us a room to start working and like moving, crawling, walking, and running ourselves as a network. So to me, I feel like we are privileged to be incubated by Able Child Africa, and they mold us, they build us as a strong network in Africa. And I believe this will be among the first strong networks in which works in disability area, but also in inclusion in Africa.
Thank you, Noela, for that. Also, do you feel that there's a need of including other countries? Because right now we are basically from East and Southern Africa. Is there a need of also including other African countries? And if there is, why? Maybe Simon, you can take that.
Basically, what I would say is that right from the issue of being incubated by Able Child Africa, it's quite an important aspect because most of us have been partners to Able Child Africa, and the idea of creating the Able Child Africa network is basically our hosts, which is Able Child Africa, is enhancing issues of ownership of this particular initiative. So in this particular case, we have the governance structure that is laid by membership from the network, as well as the secretariat being headed by one of our own. This is an idea that is really enhancing aspect of ownership. In addition to that, going to your question, why should we go to other countries? It's important to bring in other countries indeed, because basically the challenges that are there within the countries where we're coming from should also be there in those other countries that may not be the current members of this particular network. And whatever we are celebrating, we are benefiting from, it would be important for children with disabilities from those other countries to benefit from that. So basically, that will also help us in enhancing the aspect of legitimacy of this particular network. We call it Able Child Africa Network, and it must not leave any child with a disability behind in any other country. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Simon. As we come to the end of this session, I just wanted to give an opportunity to each one of you. In maybe 30 seconds, you can wrap it up and give us the main message. What is the main thing that you'd like the audience to take away from the network? We can start with you, Sharon.
I would say the network is a great platform for all the organizations to learn from. It has a great potential to grow and advance the rights of persons with disabilities at large in Africa.
Thank you, Sharon. Noella?
Thank you. As a network, I think we can make all the children, despite of differences or different abilities, we can make all of them get into the society, into the schools, but also we can ensure all of them they are learning, but also we can ensure all of them they achieve their potentials. That is the takeaway.
Thank you so much, Noella, for that. And Simon?
Basically, this is one of the most important platforms where issues pertaining to children with disabilities in Africa tackled, are discussed, advocated for. It's a very important platform because we have come together to learn from each other, to strengthen our voice, and most especially to make sure that children with disabilities are taken out of those homes where they're locked up, have access to education, have access to healthy services. This is an important network, and it is important that whoever has an interest in the lives of and rights of children with disabilities must get on board. We work together in advancing rights of children with disabilities. As we're doing that, what it means is that we're coming up with an empowered generation of children with disabilities. Children with disabilities that are going to grow into responsible citizens of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. I want to bring this discussion to a close. Let me first thank all the panelists for their time today and all the network members for their contributions. But most of all, a massive thank you to you all for attending this launch. We hope you found it informative and you are as excited as we are and realize that together we can achieve more. We'd like to thank the amazing donors who are supporting the formation of the new network as part of Able Child Strategy. So a big thank you to Comic Relief and the Ballet Foundation for their support and their innovative funding models. We encourage you to get in touch with us. Details will be here at the end of this live feed. The network is keen to collaborate, learn, and share with others. So please do reach out. Keep your eye out for network activities over the year. This includes the launch of our first data project involving a collection of the voices of over 1,000 children with disabilities in Africa. It will be launched in June. We will also be coordinating further events later in the year, so keep an eye out for them as well. We have tried to make this event as accessible as possible, but we won't have got everything right. So if you have any feedback, please let us know. As we said, the launch has been recorded and will be available after this event if you want to share it out to more people. In the meantime, have a great rest of the day and thank you once again. Goodbye.